Welcome back to DXB. Family is flying from Dubai here to Chicago, another 15-hour journey overseas. And in this video, we're going to talk about flying during COVID, all the challenges that have come along with that process, along with just new tips. You know, what are some things that we've learned over the last couple of years of traveling with family, with kids, with a toddler on these long haul flights, which we've now done a good number of times. Some of the tips will be familiar to you, but some will be brand new, especially dealing with these PCR tests and the ever-changing rules of countries and new variants and all the things you got to worry about. But right now, it's always pretty smooth getting into DXB. I mean, DXB in Dubai is very organized, and it's yeah, this is a good start to the trip. So interesting thing that we had to deal with now is that the United States just decreased the amount of time that your PCR tests are eligible. So a few days ago, you could take your PCR test up to 72 hours before the flight, but now they're only good for 24 hours. Problem with that is it takes a long time to get these PCR tests back. If it was a rapid antigen, those usually get in an hour, but with these PCR tests that you have to do, they guarantee these places here, at least here in Dubai, that you'll get the results in 24 hours. But the problem with that is when you fly in the morning, you have to have the results within 24 hours of your flight, within the calendar day. So it creates this little scenario where until you get those results, you're pretty nervous that you might miss your flight. Either way, we got our results last night around 8 p.m. The other scenario, which was kind of traumatic, is the US makes anyone over 2 years old get a PCR test. That includes Forrest. Now he's 3, but kind of just over 3. So having him deal with the PCR test and the nose swabs was a little something awful. I wouldn't call it used to it, but he's had it done before, and it's always like screaming in tears. They don't last too long, thankfully. But other countries, they don't need them if they're under 5. Some countries under 12. But the U.S., unfortunately, in our opinion, it's anyone above 2 has to get these PCR tests. So it was, yeah, definitely interesting. You can tell right now it's a slammed airport here on Emirates. So we are here a couple hours early, so hopefully we can burn through this line and have time to get to the lounge just to relax, eat a little something, have some coffee. But either way, it is a busy place. So this whole thing behind me is the queue for the American flights on Emirates. And I wonder if this huge crowd, now we've never seen it this busy before, but I wonder if this huge crowd is because so many countries are just really locked down with quarantine. Like for example, just before we left Indonesia, they re-upped their quarantine to 10 days. So there's just so many people who are unable or unwilling to do those kind of quarantines. So they, yeah, for America. So this is, you know, an example where in Dubai, there is no quarantine. All you have to do is have your at least we have our shots and negative PCR tests to get in. And I think there's just so many people who've now made plans to come to Dubai because their original travel plans may have been canceled or changed. Like in our situation, we were supposed to go to Nepal during this first part of winter vacation, but because of a rule change in Nepal where the kids would have had to quarantine, here we are in Dubai, and to have a great time, full advantage. Again, no quarantine time at all. And I think this is probably what causes all the backup, is because so many people right now are coming to Dubai. All right, so while we're waiting in the queue here, one thing to talk about, a question we get a lot is about the masking situation, and that's an interesting question. Again, depending on your destination, really depends on what the policy on the planes are going to be. So internationally, the flights that we took from Jakarta to Dubai, children under 5 didn't have to wear masks, so we were clear that way with Forrest. Now, domestically in the US, I know they're like kicking people off flights when their 2-year-olds don't wear masks, and that makes me really nervous. But on this international flight flying from Dubai to the US, my understanding is that the country destination you're flying to dictates sort of the rules on the incoming flight. So in a part of me thinks that they're gonna maybe try to get forced to wear a mask, but it's also an international flight, so a lot of times we have found that they are a lot less strict on the mask, especially for someone that's 2 years old or younger. Granite and Cedar being 7 and 9, the expectation, at least on all of these international flights that we've taken, are that people wear masks. And when you look at the line here, you'll see everyone's wearing masks. The last time we were in Dubai a couple of years ago, people had on gloves, and that was one of the rules for the UAE. That rule appears to have gone away, but you do see certainly masks. And of course, the country you're flying to will have their own policies about the PCR test. But in theory, everyone in this line has taken a PCR test. It's all been negative. I guess I should say everyone in this line is flying to the US, so they've all had PCR tests within the last 24 hours, including anyone over 2, so like Forrest. So masks on the planes shouldn't be that big of an issue for our 2-year-old. We do have them just in case, but as of right now, no one has said anything about masks. Airplane?
Yeah.
You excited?
Yes.
You're gonna watch a movie on the airplane?
Yeah.
Woohoo! All right, so there we go, a little update on the masks. Okay, so we finally made it through all that baggage check, security. The whole process really took longer than usual. It was about an hour and 20 minutes. So my next tip for you would have been check out Priority Pass lounges that are tied to one of the travel credit cards and enjoy a nice leisurely breakfast, coffee. But for us, unfortunately, it's out of the cards this time around. Another thing, of course, as you're aware, that make it easy on yourself, we keep all of our power banks, chargers, phone cord, everything in here. That's gonna slow us down at the airport when we go through the gates, and you can't have that stuff in your checked baggage anyway. So just a little, what do they call that? A little still bag is perfect for all that, easy, and it can go into my satchel as well. But all right, at this point, we're gonna see if we can't find a way to our gate with just enough time to have a quick sit before we're aboard. Okay, so obviously made it onto the plane, and I want to talk a little bit about our seating strategy. Now, in our last kind of tips for traveling international, Forrest was below 2, and on Emirates, that gives us the bulkhead row where they bring out the bassinets. Really enjoyable, but now he's 3, so we're no longer eligible for that for free. So we thought we would go with a different strategy, because I would have paid extra for the bulkhead row, but it was already sold out when we got our tickets. So instead, what we did was this little plan here. So we've got these 2-seaters. So Granite and Cedar are side by side, Kelly and Forrest are side by side, and of course I've got the solo seat on this side here. The theory here is that if Forrest is kicking the seat in front of him or having a little tantrum, which is bound to happen at some point or another, he's only kicking Granite's chair. So if we, for example, booked all 4 of these seats, then if Forrest was beside me, it would have been kind of a conflict if he would have been kicking this person's seat in front of us. So that's the theory. I'll let you know how it goes. I think it's going to be a good one. I think we'll be happy with the seating arrangements. All right, so another reason I wanted to grab this sort of 2x2 configuration is this extra walkway space. When you look around the cabin, you'll see there's mostly 4x3. So this is a 4x2x2. And that way, again, if Forrest needs assistance, I can grab him. I can still stand right here and not be in anybody's way. So this is a kind of a good configuration for little kids. Also, we're relatively close to the bathrooms. So we're close to the bathrooms, but we're not so close that we're gonna be bothered by the light or any sort of weird smells or anything. So I thought this was a pretty good system for the flights. You know, so another thing I wanted to point out is with this seat configuration, Kelly and I have not actually sat next to each other on an international flight in like 7 years, because the kids have always sort of been between us. So that's kind of cool. And another thing that we find helpful are those packing cubes. So again, what I showed earlier with all of my electronics, we also have a toy packing cube. So it's just little Paw Patrols, it's trucks, it's just little squishy things. All the idea here is that Forrest is going to just play with these toys if he gets bored with movies. Now, him being 3, he's old enough to keep his attention focused on a movie much longer than the last time we flew international when he was only 2. So hopefully he'll be able to just sort of sink into movies. If not, we've got the fallback. We also have crayons and coloring kits and just all those kind of stuff that will hopefully keep him entertained for the entire flight. Now, unfortunately, this is an early morning flight, so it's only 9:30 a.m. at this moment. So we have all of the wake hours. You know, with kids, a lot of times I'd like the night flights. That just wasn't an option this time around. Typically where you can get on the plane, eat dinner, and go to bed. Well, you know, we're many hours away from his Dubai established nap time. So we'll see how that goes. But right now, everyone is just loading up. It does not look like it's going to be a full flight. But, you know, who knows? We'll find out. And everybody's sitting comfortably. If this is your first international flight, I will show you. We bring a big bag of diapers and wipes just in case. We also have a big change of clothes options. And here in the bathroom on Emirates, they're really nice bathrooms. So I'll just show you quickly. This is the changing pad for Forrest, and you've got a lot of space. So this is a nice, clean, big bathroom for changing. And again, the big key is the change of clothes. Any type of blowout, any type of throw up that might happen, it's just good to have that kind of stuff in the bag. And that's all down by the kids' feet. You know, we have stuff up here as well, but just for quick access, we want it real handy in case an emergency happens. Obviously, you want to think about snacks and just quick foods for the kids on these airplane rides. Now, Emirates does a great job with food. Obviously, we're still on the ground, so it's so quiet in here. But typically, we like to bring things, a little mixture. So we have things like apples. We've got, you know, a bunch of these little sucky packets. We bought all this stuff in Dubai. And then for a little something sugary, we got these digestives, and these are great for making s'mores. In fact, I have a s'mores video right here about life on Dalma Island and how digestives with these chocolates are great for s'mores. But anyway, they're also good for airplane food as well. So those are just a little example of some of the things that we look for when we are boarding a plane, when we're on a plane. It'll add to the comfort of your kids for them to have some familiar food that they just generally like. Okay, another thing I want to talk about is the headphone situation. So Granite has his more comfortable headphones. We bought those off of Amazon. So Cedar has the same headphones just underneath the plane, and I've got noise canceling, like the Bose that I really like, and Kelly also has a decent pair of headphones. So just those kind of things are much more comfortable than you know, these. Not that those are terrible, but just having for a 15-hour flight, having all the kids with comfortable headphones is a good way to go. If you're not familiar, the Emirates Entertainment system here in economy is quite lovely. It's a nice big screen, and there's something like 5,000 movies and TV shows and podcasts and sports. It's fully loaded. So again, if your kids are like mine, they're gonna definitely find something to watch on there. For me in particular, I'm looking forward to watching this Anthony Bourdain documentary. It's, of course, Anthony Bourdain that really, for me anyway, that piqued my interest in traveling abroad. So pretty excited to watch this little documentary about his life. It looks like they're handing out little amenity kits. We'll dissect that here in just a second. All right, thank you, sir. Okay, looks like some good swag. All right, we had obviously the eye patch, which is really nice. Comfy pair of socks. Definitely a necessity, especially when finding the baby. They have the ear plugs here. And my absolute favorite, toothbrush and toothpaste. This goes such a long way in adding a little bit of comfort on the airplane ride. The old toothbrush and toothpaste. So, cool. Pretty good little amenity kit. These are the stickers. We talked about this in our last video, but basically if you're sleeping and you want them to wake you up for snacks, you would put one of these color-coded stickers on your seat so they know to wake you up. Or like if you want to skip the food altogether, you put the other sticker on. So, all right, very cool. Okay, so they're actually hitting us up with a little more swag. Hand sanitizer and an extra face mask. So that's another thing. We actually have a box of these in our carry-on luggage. Something about changing out the mask every couple of hours, I think, makes my face feel fresher. I don't know if it's actually true or not, but either way, they have a stash on board. If you don't have extras, they have like a very large supply available to you if you want to switch out your mask along the way. All right, they just brought Forrest out a little amenity kit, totally adorable. They got a little kid's backpack, so sweet. And let's see what else. They got a little stuffed animal plane, a blanket all tied together. And then they actually provided crayons and markers and stickers. So you've got a little pack that way as well. So if you don't bring it yourself, at least on the Emirates flights, they're gonna give the kids, looks like colored pencils, coloring books, stickers, stuffed animal, blanket, backpack, good to go. Okay, so we're about an hour into the flight, and so they've already brought out the kids' meals in Kelly's vegan dish. So now the kids can eat their food, Kelly can eat her food with Forrest, and I'm hands-free. So if for some reason Forrest needed attention, I'm not trapped down with a tray in my lap. I can just hop up and assist that way. And I think that's the advantage of having this as the setup where the kids automatically get their meals first, but with Kelly having her meal first, it leaves one of us hands-free. If she had a regular meal, we would both have our food, and then if somebody needed to help with Forrest, we'd both be kind of pinned in with the trays. So anyway, it's worked for us. Consider that as a travel tip. Ordering one adult special meal. It doesn't have to be vegan. They've got a variety. I think there's like 16 or 17 different options on the Emirates drop-down menu. So anyway, that's what works for us, and it keeps an adult hands-free. Okay, so a few hours into the flight now. Meals are done, cleaned up. We've got about 12 hours left to Chicago. Forrest is sleeping. Everyone's kind of in movie zone, and it's not bad. Not been a bad flight so far. This kind of stuff is not as hard as it might seem. So just a reminder, while you're on these flights, in the very back of the plane and in between the different sitting areas, they always have a supply of snacks. So you've got chocolate, you've got crackers, bananas, and over here you've got, of course, orange juice, apple juice, water, and this is available all flights. So if you're ever just in the mood for a little chocolate, a little banana, something like that, check the front and the back of the plane. This again is here, at least on the Emirates flights. All right, so we have made it through immigration at the Chicago airport. We are waiting on baggage, but I thought I'd take a moment just to wrap up the video by saying, flying right now with 3 kids, 9, 7, and 3, during COVID-19 wasn't that traumatic of an experience, even on that 15-hour long-haul flight from Chicago to Dubai. So if you're thinking about an international trip and you're a little hesitant with all the policies and all that, it didn't really bother us too much. I would say I really liked our seating configuration. The 2 and 2 with me on the side was really helpful, just to give us our own little kind of a pod feel to it, and that was that was very nice. So in terms of the face mask, not an issue with Forrest, even though he is over 2, and in the United States, in immigration, they didn't even question it in terms of trying to force him into a mask, so we were happy about that. And all in all, again, a very smooth, comfortable flight. Drop a comment down below if you have any questions about it. We've done this a lot of times now, and we're happy to answer any questions you might have. And with that, we're gonna hopefully not be here too long, but we'll find out. Either way, we'll see you in the next episode.